Welcome to Early Access. I'm Katie Whitlock. I'm here with Delian. Delian, it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
I guess this is not actually us meeting for two reasons. Actually, we have met online twice. One of them was last week when we tried to record this podcast for the first time. And Delian's computer, it had snowed, right?
The weather was really bad.
The Wi-Fi
was tricky.
Yeah, you're in upstate New York.
Yeah.
You're in upstate New York, so it snowed. The weather was really bad. The Wi-Fi was tricky. Also, we were just talking offline that your computer was 10 years old, you said?
I think it's closer to 15.
15? And it picked
really
that
old.
exact moment to die. So
Completely.
we're re-recording this week. The other time that we've met, so it's actually not true that even last week it was not true that was the first time we met. For anyone who doesn't know, Around the Circle does monthly meetings. We call them monthly gatherings. I don't really know. They're called Second Saturdays because it's the second Saturday of every month. But we just talk about something Enneagram. If you're interested, go look at the Around the Circle Patreon. It's also on my website if anyone's interested. But Delian was there representing fours, and you did a beautiful job. I was fascinated by everything you had to say.
Well, that's very, very kind.
We were talking about excess, right? Like stress and excess in our numbers.
Yes. I think very specifically excess, but it's hard not to dip into stress.
Yeah.
When we're talking about just figuring out the difference.
Yes.
That's what I think it was anyway.
Anyone, if there are any Enneagram newbies, stress is when you go into your stress number. You have a line, your number is connected to some other number through a line that's your stress number. Excess is just when you are really, really, really in your number in an unhealthy way. So we were talking about all the numbers, what it looks like when we're really, really unhealthy 3, unhealthy 4, all the things. So anyway, long story short, I actually met you there, but we've never met in person. Would you mind telling the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
Who you are, what you do? Go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Delian. I live in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes area. I always tell people it's like the speakeasy of New York. You only know it if other people have told you about it. Yeah. And I love it. I do a bunch of things. My husband and I have a classic car shop that we started actually with his mom as well. So all three of us are partners back in 2016. And so that takes up a lot of my daily life. I also have been pursuing acting for several years, and I'm in an interesting transition spot there. But all in all, I've been very creative for all of my life. So I do writing projects. I'm obsessed with the Enneagram and have been for many years. So I've been doing poetry based on the Enneagram types. I have story ideas that I work on. And so it's
cool.
It's all very four-ish. I'm bringing it up because it's four-ish.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Tell me more about the poetry. That's cool.
Oh, God. It's pretty new. I'm having fun with it. It actually started, I did a digital detox this summer and instantly was hit with the freedom of how much space I had in my life. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I just started having all of these ideas. I really love, there's a poet, her name is Nikita Gill, and I adore her style. She does a lot of poetry that's inspired by ancient Greece and just the nitty gritty of life. And she kind of does overlays and she does a lot of poetry and essays that are based on fantasy and old fairy tales and stuff. Yeah. And I just love that stuff. And I've always had this idea of, oh gosh, that would be really fun to do something like that with the Enneagram, use the overlay of fantasy and poetry and explaining the motives or the types and stuff like that. So I've been playing around with it.
So is it like you have a character who's that number, or are you writing poetry about the personality type?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. I started with core wounds. Let's just talk about how 4 I am. I started with a poem for each of the types based on what I imagined each type experiencing at the moment of the core wound happening. Yeah. And then I have an idea of if each Enneagram type was a Greek god or goddess, what most describes
Cool.
them, you know, and so like doing little
yeah.
stories and
Yeah.
reimagining the mythology with the Enneagram in mind.
Fun. I love. So I don't read as much as I used to, but you know the whole thing now where there's all the Greek retellings. Like
Yes.
there's all these books of all the new Greek retellings.
Oh, yes.
And I love the ones, especially if it's from the point of view of a woman. Like in the original Greek myth, she's like one line,
Right.
but then the whole book is about her, right? Those are like the only books that I'll read now. So I'm very interested in that.
So
I think that
fun.
would be
Okay,
super
wait.
cool.
What Greek goddess do you most resonate with?
I don't know. So, you want to know why I'm having a hard time answering that question?
Yes.
So my father's a 5. He's very logical.
Yes.
And one of his things that his 5-ness focuses on is theology.
Of course.
So we love talking about theology and religion and all the things. And I grew up with him saying, you know, when we talked about the evolution from polytheism into monotheism, not to get into all of it, but he just always said, when you look at the Greek gods and the Roman gods, they're all children. Like they fight like they're teenagers. They can't solve their problems.
They're so spoiled.
They're so spoiled. Like they're not godly, was his point, right? Like they're not divine. They're just like characters that people came up with, right? Not to say, I mean, if you believe in them, that's one thing, but he's saying like the way they act is so human, right? So when you're asking me that question, what's running through my head is my dad being like, they all suck, and so I don't want to pick any of them.
That is such a perfect answer, though. Like,
I think that's a very 3 answer because I don't want to be seen as like childish or teenagery.
It's you know what? And I haven't heard that summary of the Greek gods and goddesses so well said. But I think that's why I love them, because they are so flawed.
Yes, they make great stories.
Exactly. Like
absolutely.
This is how messed up we are, you know.
Right. What if none of us ever died and we had family drama going back millennium? What would happen?
Yes. It's just so funny. Yeah. I love that.
What do you think? What are you most connected with?
I have always loved Artemis the most.
Love. Why?
Well, for a few reasons. I love archery. I love nature. I love this idea. She's like pretty reclusive, while at the same time she's pretty goal oriented. Like if you go through and you ask the internets what types are each, Artemis often gets pegged as 3-ish. But she's so like peace out world.
Yeah, she's withdrawn.
Like she's so withdrawn, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that I definitely have had a heavy 3 wing. And so I think just there's so much about, well, all stories have to have the protagonist be action oriented in order for it to feel like a good story. And so a lot of times it's hard to find good 4, 5, and 9 characters, I find, because they don't tend to
do
move.
Things. Yeah. No, they don't. Yeah.
And so, anyway, Artemis is my favorite. That was a long-winded way to say Artemis.
I think that's great. And I think you're right. I do think she's withdrawn. When people talk about 3s, I think they just see people who like do stuff and they're like, oh, it's a 3. As if there aren't 4 or 5 other numbers that do stuff. You know what I mean? Like no 3 is going to go hide out in the woods and not be seen by anybody. Why would we do that? Why would we do that? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I think Apollo is a quintessential 3. And the fact that they're twins, and I have a brother who's a 3. So it works really well.
Yeah.
Yes. And like, that was my experience growing up of like going, look at my brother who's so shiny. And so Jared, when you watch or you listen to this, you can appreciate it. I was just always in awe of how he would like decide something and just do it and make it happen. And here I was like the other side of that going like, oh, how that's just so wonderful. Like the longing really setting in.
Yeah. What's
and
the
so
age
I imagine
difference?
1 year apart. He's 1 year younger than me.
That's crazy. 1 year is crazy. That's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, probably good in a lot of ways and probably hard in a lot of ways.
As it is with all things.
As it is with all things, yeah. My sister and I, so I have one. Is it just you two?
No, I'm the oldest of 7 kids.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Other than my brother, I have a hard time figuring out what all their types are.
Honestly, I think we can get too close to people and it's harder to recognize their numbers because you know too much about them.
And I haven't got them to be as obsessed as I am.
Yeah.
And I have one of my sisters has figured out her type, but the rest of them, whenever I try to bait them, they're like, trap.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 35. I have to remember that.
How old's
That's
the
right.
youngest? Something-ish.
I'm so sorry, DJ. He started college, so
okay,
that
great.
time frame.
Yeah, he's 18-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He just had a birthday, so 19 maybe?
19, yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like not a lot. When we're in college, like my mom gave me the Enneagram when I was in college. I didn't touch it for like 2 years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I like learned about it and was like, yeah, this is fun. And then didn't because none of us are receptive to people in college. I feel like I was not receptive to people in college.
It's so interesting because when I first found the Enneagram, my personality was to absolutely be in love with it. And I was actually getting my yoga teaching certification. And I was at Kripalu, which is a wonderful place, but I was there for a month. And one of my fellow yoga teachers in training knew about the Enneagram and she'd shared it with me. And I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. This was my first foray into it. And she had me do an online test and I got tested as a 2. And it was at that point in my life that I had known that I had grown up, that I was trying to leave a lot of the traits I had used through my life that were very 2-ish. And I was like, well, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is not me at all.
Yeah.
This is exactly everything that I'm trying not to be right now. Not that there's anything wrong with 2s. It was just how I had coped in a stressful way for most of my life. And I didn't look at it again until Brene Brown had a podcast episode. And she talked about the Enneagram. And it was right when COVID first started, which was perfect timing for me to just become fully ingrained in everything that I could find. And it probably took me a year to figure out my type.
So talk us through that. What happened? What took a year? What was that process like?
I think the biggest issue was, and I'm sorry, TJ and Jeff, it was the subtypes. Like the quintessential 4, that wasn't me at all. And I'm definitely a lean self-press 4. And I would read the type descriptions and I wouldn't resonate with it at all of 4s. And so I was like, but I don't think I'm a 2. But then I kept going like, but that's how I've managed for a good portion of my life. And then I dreamed of being a 3 and really wanted to be a 3 for a while. That was like, to this day, every once in a while, I'm like, maybe somebody will see through me and think that I'm a 3 and tell me that I was wrong this whole time.
Yay.
And then I wanted to be an 8.
Yeah, word.
And I had a lot of anger issues when I was a kid. And so I was like, well, okay, cool. Maybe I'm an 8. But my husband is an 8 and I am definitely not.
You're like, oh.
That's not me.
Yeah.
And then when I found, I think it was through Beatrice Chestnut, I found descriptions of the subtypes and read the self-press for it. And I was like, I think I cried instantly. I was like, oh, there I am.
Here it is. Yeah.
Yep.
There I am on the page. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to break this into 3 parts. I want to go 2, 8, and then the other subtypes of 4, because I'm really interested. Something I've been thinking a lot about lately. I think this is the efficiency part of 3. It is as I teach this stuff, your journey is your journey. However long it takes you, however long it takes you, anybody who's listening, right? But because I am a 3, I get frustrated when people can't find their type or like won't. It's more like won't, like who you, I've said this on the podcast before, but like who you think you are and how you are talking about yourself is not actually how you are coming across to people.
That's so
you know what
well
I mean?
said.
Like that sort of thing, right?
Right.
So I get real frustrated when people have heard like bad descriptions of types and then think they're that type and they're not, right? Like they're just not. So I want to go through 2. I want to go through 8, and then I want to go through the other subtypes of 4. What was it about those descriptions, 2-part, that you think you did relate to? And then more importantly, and more interestingly to me, I think, what were the parts that made you go, oh no, this is not me, right? I related to these little things, but this is not my number. What do you think?
Yeah, 2 is the biggest one that I related to. And I grew up in a high control religious environment that definitely heavily encouraged 2-ness in women anyway. I was likely living in a lot of stress. I was maintaining a lot of like trying to regulate the emotions of everyone around me. Which
especially his eldest daughter, I'm
exactly,
sure, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone go listen to Taylor Swift's newest song, Eldest Daughter. So when I was first getting into the Enneagram and I would read about what 2's experience, I was like, okay, I relate to a lot of that. But I also was like, there was a part of me that just knew that I was working, that hadn't been my highest self. And
that's a great way to say that.
Yeah. And it was hard too, because I have 2's in my life. I adore 2's. That like my favorite heroes are, 2's like that, because I think whenever they become their better selves, I feel so inspired, because if like they can do it, of course I can do it.
No, literally. Yeah.
But I was definitely knowing that those were a lot of attributes I was moving away from. And I didn't resonate with thinking repression. And I didn't I definitely didn't relate to like not being aware of what I was feeling. I was always aware of what I was feeling, which should be a huge indicator that I was a 4. But I had also experienced times in my life where I was really numb, like I was disconnected to my body. I didn't feel anything, So that was confusing. And then the big thing that probably took me away from 2 was time orientation. I was like, oh, and this was probably a big reason where 4 became solidified, and not just through reading the self-pres thing, but when I started understanding the lens of seeing life through the past lens, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
For moving away from that.
So I have 2, I think all of that was great. I have 2 things I want to bring up. The first is, I think you touched on something that's really important to know about 2's, which is, I've also said this on, I don't know this podcast, but I've definitely said this on Jeff and I's podcast, Rewired. Every time I teach 2's, half of the women above the age of 55 think that they're a 2, and they're not. And the other thing is 2's get the stereotype of just like kind and helpful and loving, and every single person in the world can be kind and helpful and loving, right? So it's one of those things where it's really like we're really doing a disservice to what it actually is to be a 2 when we're talking about them as kind and loving and helpful, which of course they are, but like everybody is, right? So what is it actually about 2's that makes a 2 a 2? And I think you said it great. Like, I was aware of my feelings, and that just kind of automatically disqualified 2. I think that's a great qualifier, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting because for 2's, in my experience, their kindness is often a coping mechanism, which is how I experienced it in stress.
Right. Yeah.
It was it's a survival technique. Whereas,
for what? What is it getting you?
For me,
yeah,
it was definitely, I'll use present circumstances. When I move into 2 with stress, it awakens in me the need to know how I've affected the people around me emotionally, and to engage in what I can practically do. It brings me into an action that is focused on my relationships instead of just being focused on my internal world. Right? And for me, what had happened, I think, for a long time was that all I was doing was that. I wasn't focusing on my internal world. There wasn't really space for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just living in a way where it was like, your feelings matter more than mine, and I will be what I perceive you to need in order to get through and belong.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And be safe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. The other part too I want to talk about that you said, which I think was really interesting. You said I didn't relate to thinking repression, which I picked up because you also don't have a line into thinking, right? Twos certainly are thinking repressed because they are in the reactive triad, 1, 2s, and 6s, right? So talk to me about how, I think that's really, really fascinating because this is an area of great debate in the Enneagram, right? Are 4s thinkers or not? And are 5s. The other side is are 5s feelers, right? Jeff and I actually don't know if we disagree, but we disagree on how to teach it, I think. But anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on, as a 4, how do you experience thinking?
Okay. Before I tell you how I experience thinking, I have one quick thought about what you just said about,
yes,
do 5s actually feel and 4s, do they actually think? I do believe that there's a lot of influence of gender expectations for those, for 4s and 5s in that particular way.
Talk more.
I think that as a 4 female, I grew up, my thinking was certainly not what was most expected or required, or, you know, like, this is something you should have. Like, obviously being in a high control religious environment didn't help with that too. So thinking for myself was not super encouraged. But I think that male 4s are expected to utilize logic and thinking more so. So it's because it's encouraged, it's become something they actually.
You can learn anything.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You can learn to do anything.
And it's a little like, I see this with 5s and 8s too, the difference between males and females. I hear female 5s talk about their feelings.
Yes.
If I ask a male 5 about their feelings, it's like, what are you talking about? Right? But our culture encourages males not to be in touch with their feelings, and 5s who may not be inclined to do that much anyway can be like, perfect, free pass.
Right. Great, got it. Yeah,
exactly. So that's my quick take on that. And then you asked me
I agree with all of that.
Ask me again what you were saying about my personal experience with thinking.
Oh, with thinking, yeah. Do you think that you're a thinker, I guess?
Okay. So what's weird for me is that in stress and security, I go into thinking repression. I feel it. I feel, how funny is that?
That is funny.
Feel a lack of awareness in terms of especially the past and future. I get hyper focused on the present. And when I'm in stress, it's certainly more uncomfortable. When I'm in security, it's like, all I have to do is what's in front of me. When I'm just a normal day, I definitely have thinking. And I do think that it has a flavor of being thinking repressed because it's so heavily involved in whatever I'm feeling.
How do you describe, or how do you define thinking in Enneagram language?
Oh, that is so good. I would say that it's, right now where I'm at, is that it's the ability to logically solve problems. Or just logically make your way to a solution.
Yeah.
You can, like, my husband, Raymond, who's an 8, is so good at it. It's ridiculous. Like, it'll be the simplest of things, and he'll just lay it out in a format that's like, these are the steps, this is it. And that's not easy. That does not come to me naturally. I have to work to get there. I do think that because I experienced a significant amount of my life in that stress number, and I wasn't really encouraged to utilize logical thinking.
Yeah.
When I started to, it felt like building a muscle. It still feels like building a muscle, but I definitely have more of it now than I ever had at any other point of my life. And I really like strategy, and I really like pattern recognizing. And there's a lot of things that I like, and I don't know where thinking ends and emotional sensing begins. Like, for instance, Raymond and I were watching a TV show last night, and it was the final episode, and something that happened in the first episode between two characters that was this tiny little Easter egg got resolved in the last one. And I had called it out in the first one.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And is that emotional awareness? Did I sense something? Was it thinking? I don't know.
Yeah. Pattern recognition. Yeah.
So there's my convoluted answer.
I think that's great. So let me give you what I think, and I want to get your take on it. Because I am not a 4 and I am not a 5, right? So actually, I love asking 4s and 5s about this. The difference in how Jeff and I teach this, Jeff will say that because 4s and 5s are doing repressed, the other two things they use is thinking and feeling. 5s are just using thinking first, and then they use feeling. 4s are just using feeling first, and then they use thinking, right? The other, and I think he would define thinking similarly. I actually would too. It's the logic, and I was taught to use the word objectivity as well.
Yes.
Right? Being able to stand apart from things, right? And look at them objectively and say, what does the data tell me to do here? Right? Not what do I feel like, right? But what does the data tell me to do?
Right.
Right? That's thinking. So I think, I've never said this out loud to Jeff in this way. So sorry again, Jeff, if you're listening. I think because Jeff is a philosopher, it is very important to him to say that all of us as humans have access to all three of these things. We all have access to thinking, to feeling, to doing, right? It is present in you. He has a son who's a 5. 5s are not robots, right? They're not people who just have no feelings. They never cry. They don't care about you. My father's a 5. Like I said, I know that's not true, right? I know that. He'll tell us. When we started learning about the Enneagram, when we were a little too harsh on 5s, my mom and I, he would tell us, like, I am not a robot. I have feelings. Like, stop pretending like I don't have feelings, right? I think, I'm using 5s as an example because that's who I know. I'll bring over to 4s in a minute. But what I see in him, though, I think what's important about the Enneagram is what makes us different. So if we all think, we all feel, we all do, that doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I mean? How are we doing those things differently, right?
Yes, that's well said. The difference,
so Jeff will say 5s aren't objective because no human is actually objective, right? We all have biases. We all have things that we believe. We all do. My point is, more than any other number, 5s are able to access objectivity to make a decision. Of course, they're not going to do it all the time. Of course, they're biased, of course, right? They're susceptible to propaganda just like the rest of us. But their hardwiring, more than anyone else, I think they don't let their feelings affect what they're going to do. So they have access to feelings, but in their hardwiring and how my dad walks through the world, he has feelings, but those feelings are not deciding what he does next, right? I guess, and then I would say maybe I would apply that to 4s, but I think I don't know 4s well enough maybe to say. So maybe you do have access to logic, right? You can think about things, but what really drives you forward in this world is how you feel about things. And that's what I think is important about your Enneagram number. Not that you have access to all of it, of course you do. But how is your personality making you different from other people? 4s, you are more connected to your feelings, and you let your feelings drive you for good and for bad, but also for good, more than any other number, right? That was very long-winded.
I really like it,
What do you think about
though.
any of that?
Well, I love the idea that there's a scale here, right? Sure, I do believe everybody has access to all three. The doing repression, the thinking repression, and the feeling repression is the most obvious, right, for each of the types. However, it's interesting that perhaps this is only the case for 4s and 5s. I don't know. My mind pings over to 7s too. But I definitely, it takes I like to use the idea of burning calories to do stuff, right? Like to move into action requires more calories for me than it does for my 3 friend,
I
right?
love
And
that. I love
think
that metaphor.
I think I'm stealing it from Ian Cron. So, but for me, getting into objectivity requires quite a bit of calories. As does action. Action more so, but objectivity is doesn't feel far behind. And I think that if I'm not careful, I will choose for my thoughts to support whatever I'm feeling, which is not objectivity.
Yeah, right.
Right? That's literally the opposite, right? And so it requires focus for me to get there, like it requires focus for me to get into action. And usually, in order for me to get into productive action, I have to bring that objectivity way up.
Yeah.
Or I have to find resources that I can rely on that keep me on track.
Like
my husband.
Yeah.
And to like stupid things, like I have a to-do list that if I don't write a to-do list and I start my day, do you want to know what happens for my day?
Nothing.
Or just like whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And I have to be careful when I'm writing that to-do list that I'm not writing subjective things that I should, like this is where my action repression and my thinking not fully fledged objective thinking feel like they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So if there's a scale, maybe for 4s and 5s, like I don't think I'm thinking repressed, but in terms of how close thinking is to feeling versus thinking is to doing, it's closer to my repressed doing than it is to my thinking.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
whereas
you would...
like for 2s, I see their action and their feeling so close, like it's happening.
So close, yes.
Right?
So
8s,
close.
same thing, thinking and doing so close. And when my mother-in-law is a 2 and my husband is an 8, and I can see, like I see it happening, and I'm like, I don't. If anything's happening for me, my thinking and my feelings are happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
But your definition of what we just landed on for what thinking is, objectivity. Right. That's not what my thinking is doing.
So, this is like finally putting together something that I've always struggled with 4s and 5s. So maybe I'm going to synthesize a little bit here and tell me what you think. We all have our core center, our number, and then we have our support center, which is, anyone who doesn't know, that's the center at the end of your stress line. And the teaching is basically you start in your core center, so your heart or your body or your mind, whatever, and then you support it with one other center. And 3, 6s, and 9s are a little weird here, so I won't talk about them. But it sounds like what you and I are saying, Delian, is that for all these other numbers, your core center is right there. And then your support center is also right there, like right behind it, right? So 2s, they feel and then they do something about it. Yes. Absolutely. 2s always describe themselves to me as action people, right? They're doers. Their feeling comes first is what I point out to them, right? But they are doers, right? 7s are doers, right? All the things. Wait, is that the right way? Yeah, 7s go to 1 in stress. Yep. 7s are doers, right? They're thinkers first, but right behind. So maybe the difference in 4s and 5s and what makes 4s and 5s different from all the other numbers is that your support center is further away from you than other people's is.
That's exactly
your repressed center is
way down
even
there.
further still. But your support center, the other center, the second, because actually technically your support center is still feeling because it's in 2. But whatever, the second one, the middle one, is over there still. You really all you have access to right where you're standing right here is feeling.
Yes, and it requires, and maybe this is why the Enneagram I think is so wonderful, is because it shows us where, like if you were going to go do a scan of your body. It shows you, right? Where are you weak? Where are you strong? Yada, yada, yada. The Enneagram is like, this is where you're super strong. This is where you're really, really weak.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean stay that way.
Right. Yes.
It means find out what you can do to support those areas and to strengthen those areas. And understanding that has been life-changing for me. Understanding how other people operate and like the things that I would be like, why is this so hard for you?
Right.
Oh, because you're feeling repressed.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, right?
This is so... Keep going.
No, like it's just, for me, this is what the Enneagram is best utilized for. Agreed. Is to be able to say, okay, yes, Delian, guess what? You are action repressed. You don't do the things you want to do. And if you're not careful, you'll use all of your thinking to create a subjective fantasy world where all of those things you do want to have happen will occur in some magical, idealistic future. That's wonderful, and everything, like, you become significant in every way possible with, you know, somewhere you will have done the things at some point.
Right.
And knowing that about myself makes me go, okay, so that's not reality. That's not how life works. Let's get objective here, which is a whole ego death in and of itself.
Yeah, it is.
But then I can actually start doing things that will help me get where I want to go, to have the life I want to have. And if that's how the Enneagram is used, which is why I think its highest purpose is, it's brilliant. It's why I think everyone should know it.
It's all about balance.
Yeah.
I tell my people in my classes, like, one of the first things I say in the first class is, if I walk out of here and I hear you down the hall say, oh, I'm just a 5, I'm just like that, it's not my fault, I'm dragging you back in here by your ear because you've misunderstood everything I've told you, right? Like, you don't get to say, oh, I'm just cynical and I'm sarcastic because I'm a 5. No. Now you know, so you don't get to do those things anymore, right?
Exactly.
Once you know you're feeling repressed or you're doing repressed or you're thinking repressed, you don't have an excuse anymore, right?
And to realize that all 3 of those things have significant negative impacts on your own life and on the lives of those around you. And it's really easy for me to be like, feeling repressed people, they are like, that's the worst. That's the worst. But like, when I think about it, my doing repression affects those I love the most emotionally, really negatively. Like, they're all the same. They all have, if not worked on, are probably the main reason we don't get the lives we want and don't get to have the relationships we want with other people.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Absolutely.
Okay. You brought up something that I'm glad you brought up, because you put it in your little, I always want to call it an intake form, which sounds very medical.
I think you should, your intake form. Yes, exactly.
You know, whatever. So I have, for anyone who doesn't know, for anyone who comes on early access, I have them just fill out a little form, just so I tell me about yourself. What kind of things are you thinking about lately? Things like this, just so we have some things to talk about. And one of the things that you brought up on there that I thought was so interesting was, you said you want to be, it's okay if I just read?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you want to be seen as significant by accomplishing something significant, which I thought was so interesting. Because you have said, I'm very close to 3. And actually, as you were talking about the whole fantasy world, I was smiling, because sometimes 4s talk and I realize I'm much closer to 4 than I think I am. And I think a lot of 3s are a lot closer to 4 than we think we are. But anyway, I do think that is very 4, right? Wanting to be seen as significant by accomplishing something significant. I think people would hear that and say that sounds a little 3 to me. So my question for you is, I think if you're 3 and you're listening to this, you are going to hear the word significant and you're going to replace it with excellent. I want to accomplish something excellent, right? I want to be excellent by accomplishing something, or I want to be significant by accomplishing something excellent, I think is how a 3 actually would think about that. So again, long-winded. My question for you, in a 4 brain, when you talk about wanting to be significant, what is the difference between being significant and being excellent? Because I do think those are different for a 4, right? I would assume. Yeah. So talk about that.
I have to start it. I have a quick story. One of my really good friends, Maud, who first introduced me to the Enneagram, and I ignored her entirely about it, is a 3, and she and I were talking about this recently. And I asked her about if she always remembered being a 3, like if there was a moment when she can remember, like, oh, this is when it happened. And we both just always felt like we were our numbers. But we both shared the moment when we were shamed.
Mm-hmm.
And for her, when she got shamed, her response was, well, I will be so awesome. No one will ever do that to me again.
Yeah.
And for me, what happened was this sense of, oh, something is broken inside of me. That's why this happened. And one day, magically, I will find that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in so doing, everything, all of the stars will align. And I will become the thing that will never be able to be shamed.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened for her was instant action. She had an instant to-do list.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? That was very pragmatic.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I will lock myself away in my shame and go as deep as I can for as long as I can to find that broken piece so that I can fix it in order to become significant. And what happened for me, and it would be interesting to know if this is the case for 4s who also have a 5 wing, which I definitely have as well. But I grew up in a very 3 environment.
Right.
I fell into fantasy really hard. Like, I could tell you exactly what I wanted to have for my future. And it's very idealistic. It's very like, I change the world with what I create. And really what it is I will create something that is of me, that proves and changes the world in such a beautiful and profound way that I will be remembered forever. But until I fix that broken part, I can't do it.
Yeah. This is really fascinating for me because I think shame, maybe it's because it's the one that I'm affected by, but I think it is so fascinating, and I do think it works a little differently than fear and anger. I don't know how. I don't have any other words to back that up, but I have always felt like 4s were maybe more realistic about their shame. Like 2s and 3s, I feel like, are trying to outrun it all the time. That's not true. Let me show you all the ways that's not true, right? Or let me take care of you so much that you don't look.
That you just don't see it.
You just don't see it, right? And I always felt like 4s were the only ones that were like at least admitting that it was there, right?
Yeah.
But based on what you just said, I want to present this very, very neutrally. I don't think either of these is like better or worse, right? But the way that you said that, at least, so that the 3 was like, and I relate to what your friend said, the 3 at least is like, oh yeah, that thing that you saw, it's totally true. I am horrible and no one likes me and there's no reason to like me. And that is absolutely true. Let me cover it up, right? But that is true about me for sure, right? Whereas it sounds like the 4 response was, well, something must be broke. My true self wouldn't. I don't know if you would use the word true self, but like some other fantasy version of me wouldn't have this. I must be missing something. Whereas the 3 response is like, no, I'm not, like, that's true. I just suck. Let me show you all the ways. Let me convince you that let me hide it with things that I'm good at, is I guess. Is that making sense to you?
Yes. And I'm racking my memory and my brain over a good response that can
I don't really know how I want you to respond to that.
Well, I'll tell you that I can remember I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I was in this Sunday school class, and we were, doing some stupid exercise where we were supposed to clean this chair, and we were all like lined up in a line, and we had our little rag. And I remember, and I'm like 3 or 4 years old. I'm pretty little. And everybody's walking up to the chair, and they're scrubbing it. They're putting their elbow grease into it, like they're going after it. And I can remember thinking, like, I'm not going to do that. I had just watched Beauty and the Beast, and the French duster character, swishes the rag around to clean it. I was like, and I'm going to do that. Everybody's going to be so impressed that what's inside of me that was different is going to showcase like this cool thing. Like, I'm going to revolutionize how people think they can do this. And I'm going to be special for it. And I remember like being ready, and I got up to the chair and I did it. And the Sunday school teacher came over and reprimanded me in front of everyone that was the incorrect way to do the chair, to clean it. And my instinct was to have two things happen. One was to feel so ashamed. I immediately felt like I was disconnected from everyone.
Oh, that's a great way to say it. That is what it feels like, for sure.
Exactly. Like, I don't belong here. I'm not accepted. And the thing that I know is awesome is also being disregarded.
Yeah.
Like, my instinct was to think that woman was stupid.
Yeah.
While at the same time fully feeling and understanding that I was disconnected now. And I think that a 3, the next time they went in line, would be like, okay, now I'll do it the right way, and I will prove that I know how to do it the right way for all time, forever.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I have to somehow fix this. And I made it my problem to figure out how to fix. Like, all I can think of is, to me, something was broken. Yeah. And over time, because I was, maybe in that instance, it was the Sunday school teacher's fault. Like, she just doesn't know better. Yeah. But over compounding times when that exact thing occurred, I am the only, I'm the one who's experiencing this. So it must be me. Yes, common denominator. Thank you. I was like, what is that word? Yes. So it must be me. So it must be something I have to fix inside of myself. So does that answer the question?
No, it does. What I'm hearing that I want to respond to is, one, I'm working on this theory that all the numbers have a contradiction in themselves.
Oh, I love that.
That's all I'll say. I literally don't have any other thoughts about it other than ones were the one that made me first think about it. I'm seeing it in 4s here, though, a little bit, right? Like, like you just said, simultaneously, I'm disconnected from everybody, and I don't know what to do, like all the things. And also, I think you're stupid for telling me that the way I wanted to do it is wrong, right?
And I was so mad that she made me do it the way, and then she made me wash it the right way. And I remember feeling like so much anger about it. It was so unjust that she was going to make me be inauthentic now.
And that contradiction of, I think that you are wrong and I am mad at you, because anger, in Enneagram, anger is what we feel when our autonomy has been taken from us, right? And I do think 4s, for the first time, I'm like realizing 4s also probably connect to that a lot because of the authenticity stuff. To have this anger and think, you're stupid, you just don't know what you're talking about, all the things. And also to simultaneously feel shamed by that is contradictory, right?
That's exactly right.
But I am, as a 3, I actually, as you're talking, all I could think of was, I'm envious of, to borrow a forward, of the fact that something in you can stand on your own 2 feet and say, no, I do think that's cool, and you're stupid for not saying that. Because if someone had said that to me, I think my first reaction would have been like, oh, is it stupid? Like, is Beauty and the Beast stupid? Should I not like that movie? And some part of me, some deep part of me would have been like, no, I mean, I do like that movie, whatever. But nobody would have known that ever again, right? I think
Oh, yeah.
threes are so susceptible to being told what we should value and who we should be, that when people tell us, I actually admire fours for having something in you that says that's not true about me, right? I think threes, especially when we're young, I wouldn't say this as much about myself anymore, but especially when we're young, someone tells us something about ourselves, I would say this is true for twos as well, and it's instantly true. Or we at least are like, is it? You know, is it? Should I be that way? Is that true? Maybe that's a, you know what? As I'm thinking through this, maybe that's also like a line to six, like the responsive thinking thing. Anyway, I won't go into that. I don't know.
I like a lot of what you, that's because we're in the heart triad, right? And I absolutely experience this, that I know myself through the relationships that I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like that is very hard for me to stand with. Like, I don't know how to not be that way. What you think about me really matters.
Yeah.
And I think health is probably, for the heart types, making that group smaller and smaller.
Yeah. Ooh, love. Yes, I agree.
Or healthier. Like,
Yes.
I guess it could be really small and be a really unhealthy person, but like making that group really matter. But I have too many thoughts going on simultaneously. It's as if what you're saying, that's not true about me. Like, I think over time, it's the heart types, and I would include myself in this. I really struggle with that. Like wanting to, like, you must be right. What you see about me is more right than what I see about me. But maybe the contradiction that you're referring to is that I also have such a strong impulse of being like, no, I know who I am.
Yeah. The authenticity part. Like threes are like, okay, I'll be that other person. You know, we don't struggle with the authenticity.
And I think one of the things that I do that's probably kind of toxic is that I spend too much time trying to make the perception of me match this authentic version of me so that they can exist like perfectly.
Yeah. Yes.
And
so that they can mesh.
Yeah. And this is where some of my repressed action comes in. I won't do the thing that's authentic to me until I can control the narrative of how people see me, so that both things are this is something I really admire about threes, and it's that autonomy. Like, yes, you may experience, like, people, to me at least, what I see is like you experience the feeling and the understanding of how people perceive you, but you're able to set aside like this intense, like, I experience this intense need all the time to make sure that everything I'm doing is as true and perfect in alignment with my soul as possible. But in so doing, like, I just don't do stuff, and then I don't actually figure out what's in alignment with my soul.
Word.
Anyway, that was long-winded.
No, it's great. This is okay. All my numbers, I love you. I love every interview I do with everybody. My fours, I just think you guys, it's like the best interviews every time. Because we get for two things. I was just talking about this with Kristen Messagey as well. Two things. One's that whole thing I said earlier about like who you think you are is getting in the way of who you are. I don't think fours struggle with that as much, just because you spend so much time with yourself. You can be honest about yourself in a way that other numbers can't. And you love talking about it. So those two things make a great interview.
I think I love that. I also want to put in one quick thing here about that statement, which is, you said something in a previous episode with somebody about how a teacher told you that you weren't that special, and it was like the ego thing that you needed to hear. Everybody go listen to that episode. I'm not going to do it justice here. It was really good. And I started thinking, I think it was with somebody you were talking about with the one. But anyway, I started thinking about that. Like, what was my equivalent of what was the one thing my ego needed to hear in order to, like, die and be reborn as something better? And it was, you're not as flawed as you think you are. And And I don't mean that as like some sort of like pat on the back thing, but for me, I use this idea of brokenness in order to not be responsible for my life. And I think that fours can live that way for a long time as a way of coping with not being like, if you use this concept of being authentic as a way to keep yourself from doing anything, it's a disservice. It's not, that's not true authenticity.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
It's not helping you. It's not helping anybody.
Right. And so something you said in all of that made me think of that. And now I can't tie it together. So listener, do with that what you will.
They'll put it together better than we will. Authenticity is living the life you were given on some level, right? And the living it is important.
Yes. It's
living into the life you were given.
And doing it imperfectly and not letting, like, as a four, I am not going to step every step in a perfect alignment with my soul. It's just not possible.
As a person, you're not going to do that. Yeah.
Right.
Nobody's going to do that.
Nobody's going to do that. And if I hold myself to that standard, really what I'm doing is I am saying that I am excused. I'm excused from having to do this. And it's an ego thing for me. It's something I've had to learn a lot. It's not fun.
Yeah. I've never heard a four say it that plainly. I talk to a lot of people about a lot of Enneagram stuff, and that level of honesty where it's like, actually, I do need to hear this, right? Like I'm using this as an excuse to not live my life. Not many people get there. So congrats.
Well,
I think you're right.
I may be able to say it. I may be able to say it, but that does not mean that I am
mean we're living
implementing it. Raymond, my husband, will be utilizing this against me. I'm certain of it. It'll be for me. It'll just feel like it's against me in the moment.
Okay, on the subject of advice and giving advice, this is my last question I ask everybody. Okay, You're 35. We're going to go back 10 years. You're 25. You're in a room with your 25-year-old self. What would you tell her?
I have already thought about this, and it's really simple. It's go find the Enneagram. I would have loved it. I would have loved it, and I would have devoured it then. I was already ready for it in so many ways. Just like I would have eaten it up, and it has solved so many things for me. It's normalized my experience, which I think is so important for everyone, but probably especially for fours, because I think that healing is being worthy of experiencing normal. And I would have just said, yo, Delian, go find, I probably would have said like
earlier.
Beatrice Chestnut and go read a book. I mean, there wasn't nearly as much information at that point as there is now, but I know that would have been a thing I would have said. And I would have also said, I've got you. You know, I would have just held her and said, I've got you, and you are stronger than you think you are, and you will become who you want to be.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I don't have anything to add. I think that's beautiful. As you said that, actually, I realized at the very beginning, I said I wanted to go through 2, 8, and 4, and then we went through 2, and then I got sidetracked. So very quickly, can you just list off maybe 1 or 2 things about 8 that you were like, oh, I'm not that, and then just to finish that thought, because I'm sure people are listening and are like, they never did it.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
All right.
Okay, sorry. Not to that was such a beautiful thing to end it on, and then I felt bad that we didn't do the 8s and 4s.
It's great. I love it. No. So for 8s, I had a lot of angry outbursts as a kid, and it felt uncontrollable to me at times. And now I wonder if sometimes it wasn't me moving into perhaps the low side of my security number. Because I look back on it now, and sometimes I think it was I was feeling secure in the power dynamic that I was in, and very, very frustrated, and it allowed me to have that angry outburst. But because of that, I was like, okay, maybe I'm an 8, and I also was like, and plus that would be awesome if I was an 8. Look at all of these things that I could just be now.
Yeah,
And when I was reading through the descriptions, like it's a little bit similar with the threes. I really wanted to be an action oriented person. I have a lot of things that I want to do with my life. And I have always struggled to do those things. And I was like, well, if this number tells me that I don't have that issue, then I will I will do all the things. It'll be great. And the reason that I didn't is for that exact reason. I'm not naturally an action oriented person. Like it's, that's
it's hard
adorable.
To keep up a number that you aren't for very long.
God, that is so well said. And I do believe that that's actually a really incredible thing to do when you're first interacting with the Enneagram, or even at any point, is like try out a number.
Yeah, spend some time.
Go out.
Who cares?
Yeah. I do that with 3 all the time. I literally had coffee the other day and texted my friend Mon. I was like, 3-weighing activated, right? Like I'm just gonna pretend. I'm just gonna be a 3 today. It's gonna be great. I did a lot of things. A lot of them were unproductive things, but I did a lot of things.
Did them.
And then in terms of the other subtypes for 4, I grew up in a family system that definitely said, like, suck it up, no pain, no gain, push through, your emotions don't really matter. And while I was a pretty emotional kid, I kept it to myself. I was that stereotypical, like, for me, my sadness was not to be shown. My sadness was in the bathroom on the floor with the doors locked and praying to God that somebody would notice and make me feel okay about it without me ever having to say that I was sad. Yeah. Or to show it, right? And so the other 2 subtypes for 4s are often described as like putting their sadness on other people. And I didn't relate to that. And a lot of like being really dramatic, and don't get me wrong, I am super dramatic, but what I perceived in those descriptions was not the kind of drama that I am naturally. And it's also like, I don't know if hysterical gets used for 4s or has, but like I have always been not always, but I have often been you toughen up and you go get it done, and just keep those feelings to yourself there, kid. Yeah. And until I got into the subtypes for 4s, there wasn't space for me in 4 because of that. And the idea of the fact that 4s can sometimes look like 7s. I didn't think I was a 7, but when I was a kid, I think I acted like a 7 a lot, because when I felt this need to put on joy, and I felt this need to like keep the energy up, and when I was around other people, when I was by myself, it was something different.
I have heard it said before, specifically that 4s and 7s look very similar as children. Yes. Because you're both in the frustration triad, so you get frustrated when things don't go your way, and you want to draw people into your thing, right? Whatever your thing is, you want people to follow you into your thing. So similar to 1s as well, but 1s are reactive, so they look a little different. Yep. Okay, thank you for indulging me in that.
Are you kidding me? I
felt like a thing was undone, and so we had to do it.
I love that, and I love that you think about that, because when I listen to podcast episodes, I'm absolutely that way. Like, oh my God, they did not answer that.
I know.
How dare they?
Sorry, anybody. Thank you for getting to the end of the episode.
If you're still here, we appreciate
you. All right, well, thank you, Delian. This was lovely, lovely, lovely. I really appreciate you.
No, thank you. I'm so glad you guys are doing this, and I've listened to every episode, I think, so far, and it's just great.
Thank you. So fun.
Oh, thank you. So.